Suspension and steering repair near me. Your vehicle should feel stable, controlled, and predictable every time you drive it. Whether you're driving through city streets, highways, rough roads, turning in a parking lot, crossing uneven pavement, braking in traffic, your suspension and steering systems are working constantly. They're working when you turn, when you brake, when you're going over bumps. They're working when you hit potholes, speed bumps, driveway entrances, railroad crossings, construction zones, worn road surfaces. They're working when traffic changes quickly and you need the vehicle to respond. That is why suspension and steering repair is not just about comfort. A smooth ride matters, but it's not the whole story. Suspension and steering systems affect safety, handling, tire wear, alignment, braking stability, and your ability to stay in control when the road conditions change. So the customer first way to think about suspension and steering repair is simple. The goal is not to sell parts. The goal is to protect the customer, protect the vehicle, preserve the tires, restore control, and explain the condition of the vehicle clearly enough that the customer can make the right decision about what's going on with their vehicle. A good repair recommendation should never be built on pressure. It should be built on inspection, evidence, safety, and long-term value. When your vehicle starts clunking over bumps, pulling to one side, shaking in the steering wheel, bouncing too much, wearing tires unevenly, drifting on the road, feeling loose in turns, or is trying to tell you something, the right response is not to guess. The right response is to inspect, verify, explain, and repair the real cause. But I'm going to stop right there from my normal rendition, and I'm going to just tell you that in reality, if you're waiting until any or all of that to happen, if you're waiting for signs that your suspension needs work, then you've already missed the boat completely. The boat left you on the shore, and now you're ruining a lot of other stuff, and your cost has more than likely gone up exponentially. So it's funny. When I first got in the business, we had the bounce test, and people were really, really, keen to show me the bounce test. Keen being one of those old words, for one, and from my youth. And it's just funny that I'm looking at them going, okay, so if it goes down and up and stabilizes, then it's passed the test. If it goes down and up and down and up, it failed the test. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why would we let it get in this condition to begin with? Because think about it. And having seen thousands and thousands and thousands of vehicles up on racks, and they have this thing that I call a bottoming out bumper or bottoming out bushing. Okay, and it's normally sits on the control arm, and it goes, and it's supposed to hit first, being rubber, without the control arm hitting the frame or whatever else is in the way. They put this bumper in there, this rubber bushing, and you can tell when it's hitting, randomly. You can tell when it's hitting more, a lot more, and it's funny that people wait until it's literally smashing that rubber bushing, that rubber bottoming out bumper, before they start thinking about replacing suspension pieces. It's like the shocks or struts or something. And I'm thinking, wow. I mean, how much abuse has your ball joint? Because your ball joint is like a ball and socket. It's like your hip joint. Okay, so if you know anything about your hip, it looks like this, and this is when you're walking, and it's doing this. Well, when your ball joints on a car, most suspension has got so much stress and pressure pulling against this because of it's the spring. Okay, so the spring is designed to be that's what's absorbing the downward when you hit a bump. The spring is making it to where you're not just going to clunk. It catches it. Okay. So the spring is there for ride height, and the spring is there to protect you as you're going over bumps to where you don't feel it as much. And then the shock absorber, the strut, their main job is a spring suppressor. They keep it from you from bouncing, hence the bounce test. And the shock absorber is, quote, worn out if it failed the, quote, bounce test. But if you're bottoming out, going over bumps, going over anything, you're bottoming out, how much stress are you putting onto that ball joint? Okay. And I mean, it's designed to go in all directions, twists even inside of it. It's just a ball stuck inside of a socket. And it's not designed to be repeatedly whacked like that. It's designed to be under pressure, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's designed to be under pressure. It is not designed to be under extreme pressure all the time. And especially, if in the automotive world, it's funny. You apply even pressure onto a nut trying to get it off of a bolt, and it can require so much strength it's not even funny. Whereas you apply quick pressure, it doesn't require as much strength, and that's how impacts tend to work. Is they're applying super quick pressure, and that breaks things loose. So quick pressure versus slow, steady pressure. Quick pressure requires so much less pressure to break something than just steady pressure. So you got to exert a lot more force with steady pressure than you do with quick pressure. I mean, that's how punching works. That's how that's how physics work, right? So now, and we use physics to our advantage wherever we can, but in this situation, this scenario, you got rack and pinion gearboxes, you got, tie rod ends and idler arms, inner socket assemblies, control arm bushings, ball joints. You got all kinds of suspension pieces in here. Okay. And you're applying quick pressure when you start bottoming out. Quick pressure destroys stuff a lot faster than steady pressure. And steady pressure is what everything is under if you're not bottoming out. But the second that you get even close to bottoming out, you shouldn't be waiting until you're bottoming out. The second that you get close to bottoming out is pretty much when you should replace the shocks and struts to protect the suspension and steering. I mean, cars have come so far. I mean, back in the day, they had rough cut balls stuck in the rough cut sockets, and you needed a lot of grease to keep it moving, and it would still wear out prematurely. I mean, now they've got all kinds of coatings and platings, and they're smooth. They're machined like they should have been all along, so they definitely last longer. I mean, beyond a shadow of a doubt. I mean, there was a time when I'd see especially an American-made vehicle pull in. I mean, and their quality back in the day was not good. And I'm like, okay, well, I know exactly what's wrong with that vehicle. I know what's exactly wrong with that vehicle because it was wrong with all of those vehicles of that specific year, make, and model. Nowadays, not quite like that at all. First off, they're not keeping the same make and model for 9 to 12 years like they used to. So you can't get that familiarized. And there's just a whole lot more cars. A lot more kinds of cars, a lot more variety. So you can't do the magic show like you used to say the very least, as far as what's actually wrong with each vehicle, which is bad. I mean, that's bad because that means that we don't know what's wrong with each vehicle as much. We don't have the quick and fast and easy diagnostics that we could have had on a lot of different situations and systems. Back then, check engine lights were weird to fix. I mean, some of the different manufacturers that required so many different techniques to figure out a check engine light, it wasn't even funny. So standardizing that helped, but enhancing and having a million more parts added to the vehicle did not help. Adding, one computer was one thing. Having 30 or 40 or 50 computers, it's a completely different thing. So in one regard, diagnostics got a whole lot easier because they got more standardized. In another regard, it just got infinitely more complicated because they added so much more emissions and stuff to the vehicle. So when you're thinking about your steering and suspension, and it's funny. I mean, it's different shock manufacturers say that you should replace your shocks at 50,000 miles. Um, I don't necessarily agree at 50,000 miles, depending on the vehicle, obviously. But as a standard, if I have to go with averages, which I do, um, then I'm not going to be replacing suspension pieces, like ball joints or tie rod ends or control arm bushings by time and mileage. Not going to do that. When they wear out, they wear out. Okay. But shocks and struts, that's a maintenance item. And by that, I mean that if we replace it before it goes bad, we're maintaining the car. If we wait until it goes bad and we're getting all of that quick pressure going and we're creating a lot more stress and strife on the suspension that we didn't need, how much faster is a bunch of the other stuff going to wear out? And like the motor mounts and transmission mounts, and I mean, you're now beating up your second largest investment for most people, the house being the first. And if you don't own your own house, it's your largest investment for the most part. And think about that. I mean, of course, you can have a 401 that's got, more money in it than your car's worth. I get that. But, we're talking about, an investment that's actually going down in value, like your car. It's going down in value. So we can either keep buying new cars and letting them go way down in value and wasting our money that way, or we can keep our car and allow it to go down in value immediately a lot, and then slowly but surely go down in value as it goes down in value. And then it reaches a certain point where it's not really going down in value anymore. Now it's going so up in value because you don't have a car payment. And just think about that for a second. And yes, it's no fun to go and give a decent chunk of money to the automotive repair shop to replace the shocks and struts. They're very expensive. But it's so much cheaper than buying a new car. A whole car costs a whole lot more than shocks and struts. Simple. A whole car costs a lot more than maintaining the old one. Simple. So until your car's rusting around your ears, I would literally say that it's your best financial decision to maintain and repair this one. Take responsibility for it. It's going to cost $3,000 or more a year on average per vehicle you drive to maintain and repair one. That's life. And of course, as time goes on, that number is going to grow because everything gets more expensive. It's really suspension and steering near me. Don't wait to feel the bumps in the road. Don't wait for your car to be bottoming out. Don't wait for other things to happen and other things to go bad. Stay safe. Stay strong.